Good evening. Good evening. Miguel, what's up? Alpha, good evening. Good evening. Hope you guys have had a good day. I figure I'd get a little bit more paint on these heavy intercessors, huh? Something like this. Haven't fully decided the color scheme of the heavy intercessors. Probably need to grab a regular intercessor and put them next. It's not a bad idea, actually. So most of all my paint jobs are just look at what my old models look like and then copy them, something like that. So the sergeant could have a gold trim and a black shoulder pad, I guess, if I wanted to copy that. Obviously the sergeant could have a gold helmet, potentially. Simple, simple, simple. How's everyone tonight, though? We'll be live for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Just do a little bit. Miguel bought the Orcs. Oh yeah, the battle boxes were today, weren't they? I hope you guys used the Blood Angels Commander Element Games links to get your battle boxes. I didn't post about them. I wasn't very impressed with the Space Marine battle box. And I don't think I have enough time in my life to do a different faction, or another faction at the moment, so... I commissioned the boarding actions terrain like a few months ago, and we still haven't played a single game of boarding actions. So I've been struggling to balance, like, I guess, free time for Warhammer. And there's so many new Space Marine releases at the moment, and also so many old models are getting defunct. Being a Space Marine player basically means like you just have to start the whole army again, it almost feels like. So yeah, because of that, I didn't even consider looking at the battle boxes. And honestly, I bought one squad of jump intercessors. I painted them a little bit, but I don't think I'm going much further with the jump intercessors at the moment. I don't know what they offer me that I don't already have. I think if you want to run jump troops, I probably just run Death Company. I think they're probably better, right? I sound under the weather? Yeah, do you know what? I have a bit of a throat thing going on. I'll take some medicine before I go to bed. I feel fine enough, though. Probably just my voice. I was going to say, as long as I'm fighting fit for next weekend, because next weekend's the weekend I'm going to the GT. So if I'm live next Saturday night, we probably will just be chatting. We'll see. I'll either be in very good mood or a very bad mood, depending on how the day's gone, I suppose. I feel like my Gladius list is decent, though. I am excited to try it at GT. Evening, Podger. What's happening? Evening, Eternal Crusader. I arrive empty-handed. How come you're empty-handed, dude? What happened? I was gonna say you didn't get one of the Christmas battle boxes? What did people think of the cost of the Christmas battle boxes this year? Did people think they were costed well? I'm not sure how I felt about them. I've never bought a Christmas battle force. I've thought about it one year, but then I always end up like... I think I'm more of a player that'll I genuinely prefer to buy, I suppose, like the new Leviathan boxes and stuff like that, because I've got all of those. I don't really buy the Christmas battle boxes though. Plugger's smashing through his Leviathan. I've barely touched Leviathan, actually. Apart from the Ballistus Dreadnoughts, I've barely touched it. I don't know how I feel about, like, for example, Sternguard. Like, the fact that they lost all their melee weapon options is a real bummer, man. Because I had older Sternguard. They also had better weapon options before, you know, when you could take, like, multi-meltas and stuff with the Sternguard. Like, I had firstborn Sternguard. And I was actually playing the firstborn Sternguard to tournaments towards the end of 9th edition as well. I had them inside the Terrax, because I thought they were really cool. Trying to remember why I thought they were cool inside the Terrax. Oh, it was because Sternguard were super cheap, that's why. I remember now. You were like 100 points for a squad of Sternguard, and you got like 2 multi-meltas and a meltagun. I guess maybe you got something else, I'm forgetting now. Eternal Crusader went to order the Angron box, and Element put a post on their site 5 minutes before launch saying they weren't doing any online pre-orders. Oh, really? So what, you would have had to go into store? Oh, well, I guess I didn't get any Element affiliate links sales today, I guess. I don't like it when places only do the store stuff, because it really hurts people that aren't near the stores, right? Because I don't live near any sort of Warhammer store. The nearest one is like, or the nearest big one is probably like the best part of a 4-hour round trip. I wouldn't even say that's a big store, that's actually quite a small store. 4-hour round trip is quite a lot. I was going to say, my hand coordination tonight is shot. What the hell? These heavy intercessors are hard to paint, apparently. Dab up some extra paint. These tubes on the back of their leg makes it right tricky to get in there. Well, I'll have to fix that with Evil Sun Scarlet in a minute. What's up, Brazil? What's up, Tezza? Podger says Gravis models take forever to paint. I'm trying to think how many Gravis I actually have fully painted. Not that many, to be honest. Maybe like 6 Aggressors and 3 Inceptors are the only ones I actually have finished painting. I wouldn't say these heavy intercessors are taking any longer than like a Terminator squad or anything like that. The tubes coming out their back of the legs are a bit of a pain in the arse for painting the knee joints though. Feels like I actually need a little bit more light in here. I've got a light up here, let me see if I angle it a little bit down. It's like when you try and go through and get behind the knees, you start hitting other bits because your brush hits these stupid tubes. Yeah, that's gonna need. The tubes on the back of the leg mean you have to close one eye to try and see through, and then when you close one eye you've got no depth perception. That's why sub-assemblies are always for the win, right? I'm really lazy though, I don't do sub-assemblies. How many heavy intercessors do you recommend? Probably just 5, man. I mean, I have I bought way early on. I bought the box, the Pariah Nexus box, which was like a kill team box. It had 5 heavy intercessors in it, and the Gravis heavy intercessor sergeant. So I built him, or I built them, and then I guess in the Strike Force what was it called? Strike Force Augustus box. I think I got 5 more Heavy Intercessors. But I haven't built the 5 more that came with Strike Force Augustus. In fact, the only thing I built inside Strike Force Augustus was the Desolation Marines, and then very, very quickly those guys got nerfed into oblivion, so I've really not played them in a while at all. They had like a hot minute. They were strong for like literally a hot minute. Alright, back in just one sec, guys, sorry. My daughter just woke up, she's upset. Sorry. But no, I do like Heavy Intercessors. 1 squad. Yeah, I'm feeling fine. Thanks for asking, Sleepy. It's been a... I don't know, there must just be germs going around. It's winter time, there's germs going around. But no, I think 5 Heavy Intercessors is probably more than enough. I guess unless you're really leaning into some sort of Gravis strat that... or Gravis... Yeah, unless you've got a really severe or well thought out plan to have more than 5. My plan with the Heavy Intercessors is to have 5 and use the Terminator Librarian to ping them around the board to stand on objectives. They're quite durable when they stand on objectives, especially against 1 damage weaponry. The analogy that I made the other day was like, Heavy Bolters wound regular Marines on 3s, whereas they wound Gravis Marines on 5s. So if the enemy has like stuff like Heavy Bolters designed for killing infantry, then your Gravis are just a lot more survivable against that. So yeah, I like the Gravis. Here's a question: what's the unit that takes the longest to paint? What, for Blood Angels or? For me personally, it's probably Death Company, because I don't do edge highlighting on any of my other Red Marines. I don't do edge highlighting on Sanguinary Guard either, but I do edge highlight the blacks on Death Company because I'm not really sure how to make the blacks look good without edge highlighting. So for me, the unit that takes me longest to paint is probably Death Company. And I did a Death Company Redemptor Dreadnought, and that took me forever. It took me ages to do the Death Company Redemptor, but I'm glad I did it. It looks very good. It turned out very well. Marcus said, Sternguard can't make a power fist on a bolt rifle, but they can take power swords, chain swords, and a bolt rifle. I'd reckon taking a score of 10. Really? You think Sternguard are good for Blood Angels? I kind of wrote them off after they lost all their customization. I kind of hate how many units have lost all their customization. I guess I like the customization of the old units much more than the customization of the new stuff, or the Primaris stuff, or whatever you want to call it. It's kind of the new stuff, really, isn't it? But yeah, I was running Sternguard with like multi-meltas and melta-guns. I thought that was pretty fun. But yeah, at some point I'll get around to building the new Sternguard. I'm sure I will. I'll build everything that's new, no doubt. We'll get there eventually. Have I tried the Vanguard Spearhead in battle? No, I'm focused on Gladius because I'm going to a GT next weekend, and I've had 12 games with Gladius now. The last 12 games I've played are Gladius, and I always tell people to play what you know. Like, as cool as the Vanguard detachment is, and with all the shenanigans, if I go there, if I take that to the tournament next week, having no practice games on it, I'll just do bad because I've got no practice games on it. So even if I think that's stronger than Gladius, I'm going to run Gladius because I had 12 practice games with very similar lists. Like, I think in the last 6 weeks, probably, the list has been super similar. Like, with just 1 or 2 unit changes each week. The core of the list, like 80% of the list, hasn't changed in 12 weeks. So, that's what I'm going to run at the tournament next weekend. So until the tournament, I'm not playing anything else but Gladius.
Peaches the Destroyer donated $5 via Super Chat. Think the Storm Raven's worth it now in Stormlance or Vanguard? T10W143 plus SV -1 DMG, then strat for -1 hit, wound and AOC, or with 1 to hit, cover and A.
I have awoken.
Even folks, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the super chat, Peaches. Do I think the Storm Raven's worth it in the Stormlance or Vanguard detachment? It's toughness 10, 14 wounds, a 3-up save. It's -1 damage, and the strat from -1 to hit and wound, or -1 to hit and cover and AOC. It's a good question. Like, I don't know if I think the Storm Raven has very good guns, though. I think that's possibly my complaint about it, potentially over its survivability. Like, there's something to argue you could just be taking a Land Raider for maximum. Like, if you want survivability, Land Raider is going to be the way to go, right? Toughness 12, 2-up save. And then when you start thinking it's like Land Raider's got 4 las cannons, which is pretty good, especially if you've got Tech Marine around. Land Raider has the assault ramp, which is like disembark and charge, which is also pretty good. Yeah, Storm Raven. I haven't really thought. I was gonna say, because it can. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. The Storm Raven has like a double multi-melta on the front, and then it was like a double plasma cannon or double las cannon on top. So it's like one twin link multi-melta, one twin link las cannon. Then it can have hurricane bolters. Then it can have the missiles. I mean, it's a good question. Like, how do people rate? Like, I haven't even thought about this in general, actually, but like on the Storm Raven question, I guess the survivability for the Storm Raven in both those detachments is probably fine. It's probably actually pretty decent. It's maneuverable, but the question is, does it do enough damage? Because it's more expensive than a Land Raider still, and plus a Land Raider's got OC5 if I remember correctly. I know I'm pretty sure or maybe it's OC4, but like it's got a decent OC where the Storm Raven has no OC. How do people rate? This is a question for chat. How do people rate a twin-linked las cannon versus like 2 regular las cannons? Because like, I've played a few games of 10th now, and while being twin-linked is fine, I feel like if I had a choice, I would always rather have 2 regular las cannons than 1 twin-linked one. Right? So like, if you think of a Land Raider having two double las cannons, because they're not twin-linked on a Land Raider, they're called like God Hammer las cannons. So like, Land Raider versus Storm Raven then, having 2 las cannons on each sponson is ultimately better than having a twin-linked las cannon and a twin-linked multi-melta, right? Isn't it -1 to hit the flyer anyway? It is -1 to hit a flyer, I believe, or... Well, maybe that's gone, actually, -1 to hit the flyer. I think it's -1 damage. I think that's the rule that the Storm Raven has now, Cambo. I don't think it's got that supersonic -1 to hit thing anymore. I think that's gone, but like, nobody really runs flyers, so I guess you're allowed to be wrong. I'm allowed to be wrong, because like, I haven't played I must have played like 20 games of 10th edition now. I haven't seen a single flyer. Like, no one's run like anything big and flying, I guess. Mullen says, how many points is a Storm Raven? It's 240, sorry. and the Land Raider is 220, right? So it's 20 more than the Land Raider. I just think the Land Raider can kind of do everything that the Storm Raven can, except, I mean, transport a Dreadnought, but realistically, do you, like, is transporting a Dreadnought anything but a gimmick? Like, I feel like it's a gimmick you could use in casual games. I don't think you go to a tournament and be like, haha, I'm putting my Dreadnought in this Storm Raven. I don't know if that... Maybe somebody somewhere does it, but I don't know if I do it. I feel like it's maybe a gimmick. More shots is more reliable over the wound reroll, says Jim. Yeah, so I think if everybody is agreed that the Land Raiders double las cannons are always going to be better than the twin linked variants on the Storm Raven, then I think, in sense, or God, this guy with the heavy bolter is like impossible to get underneath to and paint his armor joints. What a nightmare. Yeah, I think in sense then the Land Raider's just better than the Storm Raven. I mean, you can maybe take it in some sort of quirky detachment that you mentioned, like Stormlance, but the problem with the Stormlance detachment is, like, I don't think the Stormlance is a good detachment, period. I think it's probably potentially the worst detachment in the whole book. I think it, I kind of really hate it. And like, I just hate it because I don't think it's strong, not because, like, it doesn't synergize with certain units. I'm just like, it doesn't feel like a detachment that's going to be strong for, like, generic Marines. Like, maybe Dark Angels can use it, maybe Space Wolf can use it, but, like, if generic Marines want to use it, I just don't think it's very good. Can Lamartis take Blade Dragon deep? No, because he's a character and characters can't take enhancements. Sorry, that didn't make sense. I mean, he's a named character, and named characters can't take enhancements. The problem is with aircraft. Do you think it's smart to TP your heavy intercessors with Library and Dreadnought? Yeah, I mean, like, I try and do that literally every game. Teleport the heavy intercessors with the Library Dread. That's pretty much why the heavy intercessors are on my list, to be teleported onto an objective and then be obnoxious to remove. I think this pot of Mechanicus Standard Grey is probably about 6 years old, so the paint is coming out quite thick. I just water it down to, like, the nth degree. I guess I only use Mechanicus Standard Grey on armor joints, so a pot of paint lasts a long fucking time. I'm not even joking, I honestly don't think I use Mechanicus Standard Grey on anything else except Space Marine armor joints. Yeah, they don't get -1 to hit anymore. Yeah, so the -1 to hit strat is decent, I guess, now. Well, it's not just -1 to hit, though. It's -1 to hit and -1 to wound in that detachment, I believe. It's quite a strong strat. I just don't know if I rate the Storm Raven's firepower enough to generally go for a really crap detachment just to get a more survivable Storm Raven. And I really think transporting a Dreadnought is quirky, whereas, like, I think transporting Aggressors or Centurions inside a Land Raider is genuinely quite strong. And yeah, people are saying, well, people have said on other big channels like Art of War that they think the Land Raider Redeemer is, like, one of the strongest Space Marine units because it can do everything. Of all the Land Raiders, of course, the Redeemer is the one that I don't own, but hey. I'm not buying another Land Raider right now. I'm kind of wary about buying firstborn stuff just because so much of the firstborn stuff is getting made legends over time, I guess. Innes Wilson is going to take 2 Stormhawk Interceptors to the World Championship. I heard he's going to play Blood Angels to the World Championship. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Maybe he is. You know, Innes only lost 2 games in the whole of last season. Did you know that? Like, in all of the 40k events he went to, he played like 63 games. He only lost 2 games. I beat him in one of those games. I was very pleased to beat him. Do you know what? It was my first... I was playing him my first game back to, like, competitive tournaments after, like, whatever. I was away from the hobby for, like, 10 years. So, like, my first game back was against Innes, who I was like, oh, my first game back's against the captain of Team Scotland. That'll be fun. But hey, I won. I think he totally underestimated me. I think it was quite funny. Lesson, don't underestimate your opponent. And I was running some batshit Blood Angels list, like no other Blood Angels list was running what I was running. I was like running Blade Guard and Double Redemptor and Contemptors and only 1 squad of Sangry Guard, and I think I might have even been running like Outriders with a chaplain on a bike. Like it was just like, what is this guy even on? I guess he'd never played a Blood Angels list that looked anything like my list. But yeah, he's apparently going to run Blood Angels. I'm not sure I get it, because Blood Angels have like one of the lowest win rates in 10th edition, if not the lowest. But hey, I guess we'll see if he does well, right? First Company is the worst detachment. Yeah, okay, you're right. First Company is indeed the worst detachment. Storm Raven is a flat. Stormlands, sorry, is very close to the worst. I reckon I'll agree with you that the First Company is the worst, but Stormlands is not far behind. I think it's absolutely tragic. It's weird that there's some really, really good detachments in that book and some equally terrible ones. Good luck finding a Redeemer for a decent price. Have Redeemers spiked up? Can you still buy the easy to build Redeemer, or is it not available anymore? Fly also makes no sense. Look at Be'lakor. The major part of the model is his wings, and yet he does not fly, and he moves slower than a Keeper of Secrets. I mean, I guess the crash test, that's just that one model. Sometimes you get that models that have wings and stuff and don't have fly. And then, if you go read the Codex, right? Blood Angels Sangry Guard with the wings are supposed to be the best flyers in 40k. I'm sure there's a sentence in there that says, like, the elite Blood Angels troops. I'm sure it was in the 9th edition Codex that said, like, they're unmatched in terms of their flying speed. And I was like, well, they fly the same fucking speed as all the other jump pack guys. They're all 12 inches. So what does that sentence mean? So the lore doesn't always equate to the game rules. I hope you guys enjoyed the Vanguard video yesterday. I kind of thought my interview with James was really eye-opening. Like, James had a few really cool ideas for Vanguard that I hadn't even really considered. So I was like, oh, I felt like afterwards, I was like, wow, this Vanguard detachment, there's a lot you can do with it. You have to think sort of a little bit outside the box, but I think, like, in terms of high skill cap, I think the Vanguard detachment is going to be a cool detachment to work with. But I also do think that they should genuinely put in a rule that stops detachment abilities being countered so easily, though. Like, Votan could just counter the Vanguard detachment something awful. Because everything in the Votan list has, like, searchlights and it can ignore cover, right? Quick's recently purchased an Astreus and he wants to test it on Ironstorm. I think it's one of the coolest models. It's going to be cool on Ironstorm, right? You just need to be able to use the shoot back strat. You need to save CP for that, and then you need to save CP to auto-explode it. And then I think it's going to be awesome. I really like the idea of shoot back when you get shot at for 2 CP. You'll be able to wreck something when that happens with the Astreus. You'll absolutely be able to wreck something. What really lets the Storm Lance detachment down is all the keyword stuff. Yeah, the keywords on the different strats and stuff, Reziel, are way too restrictive. Like, that Storm Lance detachment could have been pretty good for melee. And I don't even think Space Marine melee is very strong at the moment. Like, if it was just like a generic one that could do well in melee, like I think that would have been totally fine. I think it would have been balanced. I don't think it would have needed... They wouldn't have had to worry about it too much. You know, this is completely off topic, nothing to do with 40k at all, but see, just before I came on stream, I was on Apple TV, and they've just got the trailer for, like, Masters of Air, which is like the new series, which is like a sequel to Band of Brothers, and it kind of looks awesome. It's coming out on like the 5th of January. I'm so excited about that. I love Band of Brothers. I think it's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. So the new Masters of Air, I believe it's called. There's a trailer now on Apple TV. It looks so cool. Michael says I've sold about 4 or 5 Land Raiders for 150 to 200 US bucks in the last couple of months. Man, 2 new Land Raiders would sell so well, huh? Were they painted, Michael? Cambo says Vanguard has been slept on. Well, hopefully it's not being slept on anymore, Cambo, because the video that I released this week I felt was pretty informative. James helped me so much with that video, though. I guess because I haven't been trying to make lists too hard for those other factions. Because I'm desperate to do well with Gladius at this event. Really desperate to do well with it. Drizzle says, I really like the Vanguard detachment, but I'm worried it's going to hold up against hordes of orcs throwing 2 turns of WAG at me. I mean, I typically find the trick for dealing with orcs and their WAGs is to try and hold your distance until they call the WAG, right? Because like they kind of have to call their WAG in like turn 2 at the latest. I feel like there's not many orc players that wait until turn 3 to call their WAG. They usually move forward turn 1 and then WAG, right? Turn 2. I feel like the way that you beat orcs is if you survive the WAG, then you win the game, usually. So I try and keep my distance as a Space Marine player and shoot the crap out of them for a couple of turns, and it could feel counterproductive, but like, see when they call their WAG and they move everything forward with the advance in turn 2, I'd honestly be willing to fall everything back 6 inches. Like, just move everything back as far as I can, 6 inches. Make their charges as hard as you can and get one more round of shooting against them. Give up some points if you have to. Because you know that if you get one more round of shooting and they don't make any of their charges, then it's your turn to take the offensive. The WAG is gone, their invuln is gone, their extra attacks is gone, and you can just start mopping them up. I was going to say, I don't feel like I've lost all that many times to orcs in 9th and or in 10th. Well, actually, I've not played them in 10th, so that's a lie. But I feel like I played them at least like 10, 20 times in 9th. I honestly think I can count the number, like, I want to say I lost to Orcs in 9th like 2 times and beat them like 18 times. Like, I never really felt... It's all about managing their WAG. Like, you limit what they can do with the WAG. You just make it difficult for them to get an effective WAG, and once their power spike's gone, I feel like you can mop them up. I mean, I even played against like the stupid transhuman orcs, where it was like if you weren't hitting them with strength 8 or above, they were all transhuman. And even then, I felt like it was very similar. Mario says, my plan with Ironstorm is to use a Storm Raven as you plan for the Stray, shoot back when it's 50%ed. When it's finally destroyed, it's so fast you can position it on top of their units. I guess a Storm Raven you could try and position on top of their units. I don't know if the Storm Raven shooting is as good as the... Well, I mean, it's definitely not as good as an Astraeus, but like, I just don't actually think... Like, I think there was a period last edition where the Storm Raven had quite a lot of weight of fire. Now I just don't know if I feel like it has any weight of fire. So it's like a very expensive transport without all that much weight of fire, and that's one thing that we see a lot in this edition, is transports can hold objectives very effectively because of their high OC values. So I guess the Storm Raven has none of that. Jim doesn't want to use Gladius because he's stubborn. Jim, get over it, man. Come on. I've used it 12 games in a row. It's good. Wins all the time. It's great for Blood Angels. I was stubborn until I lost every single game that I played in Sons of Sanguinius. I was like, I gotta try this Gladius, and then in Gladius I just started winning every single game. I'm like, okay, I guess Gladius works. If you're winning games in Sons of Sanguinius, I feel like you can probably increase your win rate by like 30% by moving into Gladius, because I did. And I was gonna say, I guess I dropped a couple of jump units, replaced them with a couple of hard-hitting vehicles that I can use Devastator Doctrine in, and then yeah, my win rate... Well, like, my win rate increased so much that you couldn't actually put a number on it, because it's like divide by 0. You can't divide by 0. So like... Gladius is incredibly flexible and has a decent skill ceiling to use properly. Ironstorm is far easier to play since it's more effective on killing. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Gladius that makes it good is there's always going to be a turn where you're going to get value in Devastator Doctrine, right? Because your tanks are going to get extra movement and be able to hit more targets. Cool. There's always going to be a turn where like you're going to want to fall some things out of combat and still do actions or shoot. So cool. There's always going to be a turn where you maybe want to make like a really long charge, so you've got Assault Doctrine for that. So it's just like you've just picked 3 of the 4 things that you know you're going to need, and Gladius can do all of them. And then it has combined with some really good strats and pretty good enhancements. Like, there's nothing not to like. I'll report back in like 10 days time. I'm 100% taking... I already submitted my list for this tournament actually. So I am taking 22 Gravis Marines to the GT next weekend. 3 Inceptors, 5 Heavy Intercessors, 8 Aggressors, and 6 Eradicators. 22 Gravis Marines. I tell you, when 10th edition launched, I'd friggin'... If you told me that I was going to be taking 22 Gravis Marines to my first Blood Angels GT in 10th edition, I'd be like, yeah, that's not happening. So you gotta adapt. You gotta move on. And I always say that, like, units go up and down, right? Like, in 6 months' time, I might be running no Gravis Marines. You have to be prepared for that as well. It's 6 aggressors plus the biologist plus the Gravis captain, who's kind of like an aggressor because he still has a power fist and he still has a bolt storm gauntlet, but I guess he's got a power sword as well. So it's 8 aggressors plus the 2 characters to buff the aggressor unit. Committing to a style is my approach, says Campbell. Yeah, commit. Maybe we'll do a poll on the channel and see which detachment most Blood Angels players are playing. If they're not playing Sons, because I know a bunch of people still like to play Sons of Sanguinius. I think if you're still playing Sons of Sanguinius, you're a braver man than I am, because I don't necessarily think the Sons of Sanguinius detachment is bad. I think that the melee rules for 10th edition stink. Like, there's far too many restrictions on melee, like where you can move, how you can consolidate, how you can pile in. I just think the melee rules are not very good this edition. I get that they were trying to improve some of the janky stuff around melee, because there was some janky stuff, but I think they've taken it one step too far. They've really hurt. Melee armies that are not big durable monsters are really struggling from it. Any vehicles? Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 Vindicators, Librarian Dreadnought, a Ballistus Dreadnought, and a Repulsor in the list as well. So 5 vehicles. So 22 Gravis Marines, 5 vehicles, and then I think that leaves like, oh, excuse me, that leaves like 1 squad of Death Company, 5 man. I haven't run Firestorm yet either. Firestorm was the one that I thought that would be most fun to run, honestly. Just because I thought the +1 strength was a really high break point. I think there's a lot of weaponry when you get in close. And I kind of wanted to try Redemptor Dreadnoughts in Firestorm. Because I feel like Redemptor Dreadnoughts get the probably... like, they just have so many guns on them. And I feel like getting into melee range with those Redemptors is really important, so like getting a bunch of Redemptor Dreadnoughts and getting up close and personal, I felt like that was going to be super strong. The jank with melee was on the pile in and consolidate moves. They could have let it, instead of making Thunderhammers hit like a wet noodle. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's too many melee changes all at once, right? And I don't know if I think that the consolidate was necessarily the problem. Like, maybe... yeah, I don't know what I felt like the problem was, but like... Blood Angels worked because quite often you could kill a model or kill a unit and then consolidate some guys into cover. And removing that really, really hurts for Blood Angels. Like I said, it maybe doesn't affect armies with like lots of big demons doing melee nearly as much as it maybe affects like Blood Angels. Mickey from Helmstorm is taking Blood Angels. So someone else is taking Blood Angels. What am I missing? Why is everyone taking Blood Angels? Is it just the Librarian Dreadnought they're taking them for, or is it something else? I hadn't seen that. Haven't watched Mickey's channel or Mikey. Does he prefer Mickey or Mikey? Because I actually don't know. That's funny, I don't know. I've watched his channel quite a few times as well, but I guess he doesn't really refer to himself by name on his channel, does he? Can a Redemptor go inside a Stormraven? I mean, maybe? I don't know. I honestly think putting Dreadnoughts inside the Stormraven Peaches is a bit quirky. It's fun for casual games. I don't think it's necessarily something you want to be doing at a tournament. But hey, thanks so much for the $2. Do appreciate it. Firestorm is looking like the competitive one. Is Firestorm looking a bit more competitive than the Iron Hands one, the Iron Spear one? Because I honestly thought the Iron Spear one just looked really, really interesting. It felt like the lethal hits on all the vehicles from that Tech Marine aura could just be insane. Yeah, I feel like that's probably what I thought, what I earmarked as like this might be the strongest detachment, just because you could have like 3 or 4 vehicles benefiting from like everything in those vehicles as lethal hits. Now I believe there was a way you could get crits on 5s as well, so you could get like sustained and lethal hits on multiple vehicles maybe. Molten says they're pretty sure they will Legends the Vindicator next edition. It also means they're going to have to release a new Space Marine tank model. I think the one thing we can guarantee is that they will keep releasing new Space Marine stuff and keep legendsing. I don't know what the adjective is there. They'll keep putting our old stuff into Legends. Which honestly I'm not in love with. I find it very frustrating. What happened to the customer was always right, you know, like the customer likes their old models, the customer likes customization, but it doesn't really matter. I was thinking of making a video of all the models that got Legends, but then every time I think about doing it, I sort of step back because I don't overly like just making negative videos. Like I don't know what that video accomplishes except be negative about things. And someone posted some of the, like, there's a few YouTube channels that are just do nothing but be negative about 40k, and like someone posted one of them on my Discord, and I said to them, like, I was just like, just remove that from the Discord please, because if any channel's just always posting negative stuff, I just unsubscribe from it. I got enough negativity in my life, I don't need more. So yeah, as much as it sucks losing all those models to Legends, I guess we're just going to suck it up and not make a negative video out of it. Yeah. There's no dead restrictions anymore, so the Stormraven could take a Redemptor Dreadnought. I mean, so it could take a Brutalis Dreadnought, maybe the Brutalis Dreadnought coming out of the Stormraven. I guess the Stormraven needs to survive one turn of combat. But, I mean, the Brutalis Dreadnought's probably my favourite there, because it can do, like, 12 mortal wounds on a charge, right? Not that it would do that very often, but I mean, it can do it. But yeah, we can pretty much guarantee that like all the old Space Marine Firstborn stuff is very much not long for this world. Like, even if I thought to myself, like, hey, 3 Vindicators is going to be the best list I can build, like, right now. And I don't necessarily dislike 3 Vindicators, but I'm not going to go and buy any more Firstborn. Like, I don't think I've bought any Firstborn or... Well, I definitely haven't bought any Forge World stuff, but I definitely haven't bought any Firstborn stuff since the... You know, since the removal of, like, attack bikes and all that sort of Firstborn stuff that we had, like 3 months ago, I guess, with the Codex. Yeah, so I just think I'm not buying any more Firstborn stuff. It's just too risky. So even if I thought a Firstborn unit was really good, I'm not gonna... Be interesting to see what happens when Blood Angels actually get their Codex, if there's a lot of really strong Firstborn stuff, or if there's just not, I guess. It's Copium? What's Copium? Brutalis in the Storm Raising using the Burning Vengeance strat. Remind me what the Burning Vengeance strat is. Marius, thank you so much for being a member. 7 months already, dude. Tell me, have you started your Blood Angels army yet? The thing is, if you drop the Brutalis out in turn 1 Tesla, you can't make a charge, right? So it's like you kind of have to have the Dreadnought... You kind of have to have the Dreadnought sit there for a whole turn and hopefully not die so the Dreadnought can come out. Marius started following me because there's far too many negative channels and I'm positive. Oh well, that's nice to know, dude. I did wonder if there was a reason that a big Ultramarines player was going to follow me. Oh well, I'm doing something right, thank you. Yeah, these heavy Intercessors' arms and stuff are just so bulky, it's quite difficult to paint. They're quite difficult to paint, I guess, with the... You know, like, at least with Aggressors, both their arms are kind of out to their side. I feel like in Scepters as well, both the arms are out to the side. These heavy Intercessors are just annoying, because... Like, it's bad enough when I was gonna say like an Inceptor or Intercessor or even a Firstborn model holds his gun across his chest piece. With these guys, their arms are just so chunky that like it just obscures so much of their underside. It's really difficult to paint. Two Scoop says he really wants a Vindicator too, but he's afraid of Legends. Yeah, I mean that's why one of my Vindicator tanks is my Vindicator Laser Destroyer, just as a proxy for a regular Vindicator, because I was like... I actually never got to use that Laser Destroyer, you know that? I didn't actually even finish painting it, it's like 90%. I was going to put transfers on it, I was going to do some like final highlights on it. So I never even got to use my Laser Destroyer in a tournament. I got it right at the end of 9th. And I was getting a bunch of units ready, so I managed to get my Terrax ready right at the end of 9th. I was really proud of that Terrax, and then it's like, I think I got to play it in one tournament, and then it's Legends. Man, that's so frustrating, honestly. I really enjoyed the Terrax as well, I think it's a cool unit. Worked really well with Blood Angel's chapter tactic last edition too. The +1 to wound and +1 to attacks was just super strong. Heavy intercessors are 100% paint in parts style kit, says Miguel. Yeah, I mean, couldn't agree more. I'm making so many mistakes trying to paint their in their armor joints here, Miguel. I'm gonna have to spend like 20 minutes after I finish this going back and retouching up all the red around all the armor joints. Eternal Crusaders away for an early night. If I don't see you, John, good luck with the tournament. If you lose the first to a Templars player, don't feel too bad. We're the best after all. Okay, I'll try and remember that if I lose to a Templars player. I was going to say, I haven't played too many Black Templar players at tournaments. I think I played them once in 9th. And that was when they had the Vow, and they were just generally very strong. But I think the guy that I played didn't have that much experience against Blood Angels, and sometimes if you go to a tournament and people don't know what your army does, you can kind of get the win just because they don't know what they're up against. You can't tell them every single strat you're going to use or when you're going to use them. So if it's an army that they have, like if you don't have much experience against them but you know something and they have no experience against your army, then sometimes you can just come out on top because it's like, oh, I'm going to do a heroic intervention here, and they're like, damn, I didn't know you could do that. Like, you can tell them some things, but you're not going to tell them everything, right? Good night, Eternal Crusader, anyway. Frank says, has anyone put their jump captain together without the cape? I've got the jump captain, but I've not put them together yet, actually. I just put the regular intercessors together. Do you not like the cape? Sure, you can probably put them together without the cape. Has anyone done it with or without cape? I'd be surprised if no one's done it on the Facebook group. You'd always ask there if anyone's done it without, if you want to see a photo of it. Hey Brock, it's been a little while. Greetings to Australia, how are you? It has been a while. Daylight savings, huh? I haven't been streaming too late at night the last few weeks, month maybe. I've got like a new exercise routine which has me getting up like pretty early in the morning and stuff, so I've been getting pretty tired of the evenings. But nice to see you. How are you? Pandaman says the cape is optional. I was planning on doing a conversion video for that chaplain, actually. Sorry, that new captain. I just haven't got around to it. I have a lot of plans for videos. If I didn't have 2 kids and a wife, I would do so many more videos, honestly. Like I got more plans for videos than I have time to do them in. I always email myself all these ideas, so my email address is just full of myself emailing myself ideas. And then it's like when I actually... And then I guess I don't manage to get enough time to do all of them. When I eventually retire from my day job, I'll be able to do all the videos I want to do. Alright, hold on. Marcus has got a negative rant, which is apologising for in advance. The models are overpriced, but that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the lack of transparency. GW could have said that these vehicles will be legends soon. Yeah, I wasn't pleased with the transparency issue, that's for sure, because they, you know, in the index they gave some units like rules that were really interesting and fun, like Stern, was it it wasn't Sternguard, it was company veterans got really cool, interesting rules, and like loads of people were like building out company veteran squads. I converted out like a whole squad of company veterans, and then I think I got to play with them like 2 times, and then it was like, oh, by the way, company veterans are being legends. And I was like, if you're gonna legends them, why'd you even put rules in the index? Why not just leave them out with index? Why make rules for literally like a month? That wasn't great, was it? I agree, Marcus. If they just come straight up and said, these models are getting legends, but they have rules right now just until they're legends, like with the Space Marine Codex, that would have probably been way better received. There's something... You know, a good example, I was going to say, like, I'm trying so hard. My daughter's 4, and I'm trying so hard to teach her that, like, honesty is the best policy. Like, I don't care if you, like, did something wrong, you know, like, sometimes she'll, like, hit her little brother or something like that. Like, I don't care if you hit your little brother. If I ask you about it, I just need you to be honest about it. I don't want lies, I don't want BS. And maybe it's just something like that. They just needed to ask, they just needed to tell people straight, this is what's happening. And then people wouldn't have maybe rushed out to make some of these conversions, or people wouldn't have spent money on these conversions, and then no one would have been unhappy, because they're like, well, if they did that conversion, then it would be like, well, I'm converting these, but I know they're going to be legends, so I can't really be unhappy. I think there's something to be said about just being honest. Because yeah, like Willem's salty about them putting a lot of stuff in as well. Yeah, so it's like they should have just been more upfront. They should just been upfront. No one would have been upset then if everyone knew what was happening. And it could have just been like a 1-page news article saying, "Hey, these are the units that are probably going to be legend in 10th edition. Just be aware that they have rules right now in the index, but probably when your codex is released." And they did that. They just did it 3 months too late. That's really all it was, right? It was just 3 months too late, or it's just a bit too late. Because I think the thing that possibly, for me anyway, because I'd said that, like, I don't really care about the money that I spent on those models. I mean, I do and I don't, right? Like, I bought a super heavy tank, a Cerberus, right? Before I moved into this house. I moved into this house 2 years ago, so I bought a Cerberus. God, I'm trying to think. Like, I bought this Cerberus, the super heavy, 6 years ago or something, right? So for all intents and purposes, that money is long gone. Like, that money was not... That's not front and center in my mind anymore. Something you... Like, if you bought your TV 6 years ago and your TV breaks, you're like, yeah, okay, I've had it for 6 years, you know? So I bought some stuff, like, 6 years ago. I don't really care about the money. What I care about is, like, was I actively in the process of painting it or getting it ready? Because that's the pain point. The time that I spend on it is the pain. Is essentially the pain point. Not the money that I spent 6 years ago or something like that, you know? And I have units that I bought more than 6 years ago. I have some unpainted units from 25 years ago, you know? But hey, I did notice that some places, like the tournament I'm going to on next weekend, they're actually allowing legends. They just wrote it down and said, we're allowing all legends models in this event. They don't care about WYSIWYG either, as long as your army list is clear. and the models are a similar size and on the right size of base. They don't care about WYSIWYG, and they don't care if you want to use Legends. So I was like, that... And I think that's a byproduct of, like... I think it's a byproduct of Games Workshop doing what they did. If they'd been more clear and concise up front, then probably maybe that wouldn't have happened. But I guess because they weren't clear, people lost models that they'd been working on, or lost models that they were in love with, then some TOs have decided that, like, hey, we don't like this, so we're going to do our own thing. And in some ways, the TOs are kind of the controlling factor, right? Because if your TO is going, well, we're going to allow Legends, then it doesn't really matter what Games Workshop say. It's all down to the TO. And like the briefing pack of the tournament I'm going to literally said, I was surprised actually when I read it. It was just like, we're allowing Legends at this event. I was like, oh, cool. So I'm not actually going to run any Legends, personally. But I just thought it was a really nice touch because, like, some people have lost huge amounts of their army. Like, I'm lucky. I've said that a few times. I'm lucky because I've been collecting Blood Angels for such a long time. I was collecting them before they were a melee-based force. Right, when I first collected Blood Angels, your army list was like multiple tactical squads and predators. Like, there was very little. Like, I want to say I collected Blood Angels for like 2 or 3 years before I even had a single unit with a jump pack. Just because it was quite okay to run Blood Angels without any jump packs. Like, it wasn't even a thing. It wasn't, like, that wasn't the chapter identity way back in the 90s. So because of that, I had loads of, like, vehicles and stuff that I can, you know, like, when this edition came out, it's very easy for me to switch to Gladius. I didn't have to buy any of my tanks. Like, I already had Land Raiders, already had Vindicator tanks, I already had everything, right? Whereas some people that maybe are newer to Blood Angels don't have any of that stuff. Like, literally, they've just got Death Company and Sanguinius Guard and maybe Assault Marines. They get no armor. And if you got no armor or you got nothing like that, then it would be quite hard and it would be quite upsetting, I guess. So having an event that just says, like, hey, we're just letting Legends play, I was like, that's quite cool. I'm 100% okay with that. And I guess maybe some people would not be okay with it, but I'm okay with it because I'm like, everybody spent their hard-earned time and money on getting hobby stuff ready, so it really sucks to just lose it. Robert says he wishes that they would leave the rules alone long enough so he could finish his army. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree, Robert. The WYSIWYG stuff is going to be a problem. I don't know how they're going to finally address that, because I guess, yeah, it's just like, you've got every edition at the moment, or every 6 months, or every balance data slate, it's like which weapons are good, or which weapon your unit should have changes, and that's an issue, right? The fact Primaris can't be kitted out like tactical squads bums me. I mean, I guess tactical squads are still here though, so you've got that if you really need tactical squads, I guess. I was gonna say it's been so long since I actually legitimately fielded a tactical squad. I guess I don't overly care about that. But hey, you're entitled to your opinion, you know? You're entitled to, if you think it sucks, then I guess it's going to be impossible for them to please everybody, right? I think what whoever said about being open, that's probably the biggest thing. They just need to try and be more open with us. Sleepy Psyker, who's also called John, says he loves 10th edition. I think I enjoy 10th edition. I think what I want to see is I want the melee rule set to be improved. And I think then maybe I would love 10th edition, because I think there's a lot of the 10th edition does right, but I don't necessarily think I agree that it's done melee right. I think the melee rules are kind of bad. Or maybe not bad, maybe just overly restrictive would maybe be a better way of putting it. Don't get me started on command squads. Yeah, Highland Phoenix was building 3 command squads before they changed the rules on him. I really enjoyed the command squad with Tycho. You know, when they said that this tournament was Legends Highland Phoenix, I was really tempted to be like, right, Tycho plus the command squad, because I did convert all that. I did build it out, and I did play it a few times and think it was like super fun. My thing with it was I don't know if it was as competitive as we maybe thought it was. Like, it was a little bit quirky, like Tycho fishing for all those mortal wounds with his gun, and the command squad doing some shenanigans like rapid fire, falling back las cannons or whatever it was. So I do think it was a little bit quirky, but there was a really big part of me that was like, man, if Legends is allowed, I'm gonna run my or I'm going to run the Tycho command squad shenanigans. But I think what I'll do is, if there's another event that Legends is allowed in, I'll do that. But for now, I'm just going to run the standard Gladius thing that I know. Back in one sec. Well, I guess, what can I say? I don't know if Legends being allowed is the right idea, but I mean, I'm not the TO. I'm just telling you what I'm going to. I don't think Legends being allowed is really any different than the previous editions, because if you think about the previous editions, it did feel like the Forge World stuff never got properly balanced anyway. So is it not just more of the same, maybe? Fingers crossed for Primaris Demigod Tycho. You think Tycho will get retconned? I mean, if Tycho gets retconned, surely Sanguinius is not to be... Surely the retcon for Sanguinius will come not long after, huh? That's such a controversial topic. Jab says I can't think what Legends units are worth taking. I was going to say there's no knights that went Legends, Gav, that were really good. I mean, for Marines, the units that people would probably take are stuff like Leviathan Dreadnoughts. I don't think Relic Contemptors are all that relevant anymore. They were always carried by their Volkites, and their Volkites were only really good for what, like... Oh, they weren't always carried by the Volkites, actually. Back in 8th edition, people used to like the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with double twin-link las cannons. That was pretty good, because if I remember correctly, in 8th edition, Relic Contemptors hit on 2s, and they also had a Feel No Pain on them as well, kind of like the Custodes Dreadnoughts. So I think Relic Contemptors in 8th edition, I'm sure I remember Colin running like double Relic Contemptors with las cannons, and they had the built-in Feel No Pain, and I think they could get rerolls 1s because of Guilliman, maybe. So you ended up with like all these hitting on 2s, las cannons, rerolls, and then the Contempt, because they had the built-in Feel No Pain, they were pretty resilient. Mario said Sanguinius is 100% coming back. There you go. If he sells models, he'll be back, do you think? Jim said the Sicarian getting Legends hurt because he just primed one. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody had something that was like Forge World or Resin or something that they were working on, right? Because those were always like the more hardcore projects, I guess. Not the sort of projects you would just bash out, I feel like. Do you know what? Maybe Ironclad Dreadnoughts were decent as well. I like the Ironclad for the Seismic Hammer and the drill, but yeah, and I guess the Leviathan had the drill. The Leviathan had very, very similar stats to the Redemptor Dreadnought in 10th edition still. Like, if you compare a Leviathan to a Redemptor, they were damn near identical. Just maybe the Leviathan had like a better save and an invuln save. Probably a big weakness of the Redemptor is the lack of invuln save. William says, when we get the Codex, they'll make Dante and the Sanguinary Guard not unplayable bad. I think everybody hopes that, right? The thing is, I think they've struggled, like, for a couple of editions now to get the balance right on the Sanguinary Guard. They can't get the balance right. They either have Sanguinary Guard nerfed into unplayableness. I don't know what the word is there. They either have them nerfed to a point where no one will play them, or they have them unnerfed to a point where everybody runs 30, and they can't figure it out. I think they should make them really good and just cap your list to like 10 of them, honestly. Maybe make them a bit like Victrix. As much as I have 30 of them and it would be annoying to not be allowed to use a bunch of them, maybe they should make them like the Victrix Guard of Marnie Skalgar, and it's like Dante plus just a few of them, and they're really, really good. At least then we could always get to play them, and we wouldn't have to worry about them having rubbish rules because they either can't balance them or they balance them to the point where like people just want to take 30 of them, right? And in the lore, there's only supposed to be 25 Sanguinary Guard. I highly doubt all 25 would turn up to the same battle. If you imagine how big the Imperium is, how many star systems there are, surely there's going to be like 5 with Dante, and like 5 with the first company captain, and 5 with Astaroth, that sort of thing, right? They're not all going to be at the same battle. Doesn't make sense. I mean, they might have all been at the same battle for Devastation of Baal, but that would be about it, right? Good evening, Go For It Painting. How are you? Peaches says, would Vanguard veterans in foot on a Rhino have been good? They got legends, but they had a scout move, I thought. The problem is, if the unit has a scout move, if the transport they're in does not have a scout move, then they can't use the scout move. So it would be like counterproductive almost to put the Vanguard veterans inside a Rhino, because the Rhino can't scout move, you cannot use the Vanguard veteran scout move. I didn't realise that originally. I guess they maybe didn't make that rule 100% clear, but pretty sure that's my understanding is correct. But I think the strength of Vanguard veterans on foot was that they could go with Gabriel Seth. But with the removal of Vanguard veterans on foot, it kind of, in a way, it's kind of more of a nerf to Gabriel Seth than anyone else, because Seth kind of wants to be with a melee unit. He doesn't really want to be with a tactical squad, but like I think a tactical squad is literally all he can attach to now. Jim says, if all firstborn units go legends, I will quit Warhammer. I'm not going to dump 500 points to replace my vehicles. Yeah, I mean, we'll be sad to see you go, Jim, but honestly, I feel like everything that's firstborn will be gone eventually. I was expecting this edition, like, if we roll back to before the edition came out, I was expecting what they did last edition. Like, I was expecting like 2 units to go to legends. Like maybe I feel like last edition they did like the Chaplain on the bike, because we got the Primaris Chaplain on the bike, and I was going to say maybe there was some other weird ancient combo, because the Chaplain on a bike was a unit that we hadn't seen in ages. So I was expecting something similar, like 1 or 2 units to go to legends, and then it was like 12 or something, plus all the Forge World stuff. So it was a giant amount that went to legends this edition. Like I think if they'd kept going at 1 or 2, that would probably been preferable to me, because I hear you, Jim. Like I lost like a ton of stuff, and like you gotta buy it all again, you gotta paint it all again. I'm just putting my I'm putting my firstborn stuff on new bases. For example, I'm not buying any of these Primaris Scouts, man. I'm going to buy those base extenders on eBay that convert 25mm bases to 28.5. It'll cost me about $10 to get 20 base extenders. So for $10 and like 2 minutes work, I'll have 20 Primaris Scouts, right? There's no way I'm buying 20. I hate painting Scouts. I was going to say, the Scouts are like the most boring unit in the game, are they? Like, they're just guys with shotguns and bolters. They don't inspire me very much, I guess, Scouts. Or maybe because back in 8th edition, you had every Blood Angel's army had to have like 30 Scouts, or every Space Marine army had to have like 30 Scouts for your detachments to get command points. Everybody has a shitload of Scouts. It was painful. Everybody should just base extend, says Highland Phoenix. Exactly, man. Just base extend. Don't buy the new Scouts. Just base extend them. If you need a link to the base extenders, hit me up on Discord. I'll send you it. But I know the guy. I've bought tons of the base extenders from him before. They're so cheap. They're so easy to fix. Fit, and fix, I guess. I'm 100% doing base extenders on the new Scouts. I'm not buying. I was gonna say, I'm sure I will spend money on Warhammer on new models this year. But if I'm spending it, I want to be spending it on something more exciting than a Scout. I don't have a Repulsor Executioner yet. That is kind of high on my list to get at some point. Not a fan of base extenders? Well, I mean, you can always buy the bigger bases and just stick your models to them. I'm a fan of the base extenders. I've used them plenty of times. I just think they're very, very quick, and also because you can snap them off and snap them onto other models, you don't even necessarily need... I mean, you could just buy 10 or something, right, and just move them from models to models if you wanted to. Would tournaments allow older models? Aren't they smaller, so it would be modelling for advantage? Sometimes. I think it's the same as what I was saying earlier. Just ask your tournament organizer. I think a bunch of them are not going to care. There's literally millimeters in the difference. I feel like if you could... Yeah, I think most of the time there's so little in the height difference, like millimeters, that if you can hide a firstborn guy behind a piece of terrain, you can hide a Primaris guy behind a piece of terrain. I think for the most part it's not going to matter. But hey, you should check just to be sure that everyone's happy, but I think for the most part you'll be fine. Changing to more positive chat. Great chat with James on the Vanguard detachment. It was very inspiring. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I thought that the chat on the Vanguard detachment was pretty cool. I think the detachment's a cool detachment. Which guns work best for Sangri Guard with Dante leading them? Sems. I can't say that. I think it's a German name. First bars. I think for Sangri Guard now, first bars. Who knows if I'm saying that even remotely right. Plasma pistols and infernal pistols are what you probably want. I think last edition you probably wanted infernal pistols because they're cheapest and they could do the most damage. Now, because of the short range and the fact that they reduced the damage on infernal pistols quite a bit, makes me think that you could probably do plasma pistols. I don't have like any Sangri Guard made with plasma. Do you know what? That's a lie, actually. I think I maybe have a handful made with plasma pistols. But yeah, I think plasma's probably an infernal still going to be my personal favourite. But I think you could do either plasmas or. I think the Jealous Bolt Gun is probably the worst of the lot now. I mean, I actually kind of like it that they made the Jealous Bolt Gun a pistol. But, still, it's like a Strength 4 pistol when you could have a Strength 8. Or you could have a Strength 7 with an overcharged 8. Yeah, I'm a little bit sad about the Angelus Bolt Guns. I actually used to always run my Sangri Guard with Angelus Bolt Guns. I used to think they were pretty good, but not anymore. But yeah, Reziel said the Angelus Bolt Guns got gutted. So sad. Yeah, they were like the staple for the longest time. I think that's probably what people don't like as well, is like how each edition the best guns are no longer the best guns. And it's like you have to rethink your modelling, or you have to hope that you built them with magnets. You see, if they ever add weapon options to all these Primaris squads, we're all going to be screwed, because we're all here making these monopose Primaris guys with no weapon options. If they ever give them weapon options, we're all going to be so screwed, guys. We're going to be like, heavy intercessors can now have a multi-melta and no one's got one with a multi-melta modelled. Oh, it's going to suck. It's German, it means terrible. Okay. I thought it was German, maybe. I was watching a documentary in German actually today on Netflix called Cyberbunker, which is like a documentary about like the dark web and how it was all operated out of this bunker in like Germany. In like a tiny little like quiet town, there was like this bunker. It's kind of crazy. Check it out if you're on Netflix. It was called Cyberbunker. I thought it was pretty interesting. Just throw an Eradicator into your Heavy Intercessor squad. Okay, yeah, good point. I suppose you could just throw a Eradicator in and then you could have a multi-melt option, but yeah. I don't know, I think I guess the Primaris are designed to not really have that many weapon options. I just wonder if they're going to do similar stuff to other armies. I don't know how it's going to affect other armies. Brock's hoping the new assault guys will one day be able to have something more than chainswords. I think everybody's hoping that, Brock. I think it's pretty silly that they can only have chainswords. I mean, unless they're going to do like a squad where Blood Angels get like a different jump unit that get weapon options that none of the others get, but I don't know. There's a lot of questionable things with these Primaris Marines, and we don't know what's happening, we don't know the roadmap, so we kind of just have to wait it out and see find out which way it's going to go, don't we? Brock charged a Riptide with nothing more than chainswords, and it was anticlimactic. I mean, I can imagine. I'm actually not looking forward to playing against Tau if I end up playing at the GT. I've got no experience against Tau in 10th edition, and from what I hear, it's very much like a turkey shoot type army. It can't be that good. Andrew's not running a list. Yeah, maybe. I did say to Andrew as he looked at the Iron Hands detachment from Codex Space Marines, because I think it's super strong, and he was like, no, I'm just focused on Votann. So you must think that there's potential there in the Votann to be really good. And I do think Votann do seem pretty decent. I actually don't have a clue what Votann's win rate is right now. But in the games that I've played against the Votann, once they get those the units they get the judgment tokens up on tend to die very, very quickly. The railgun's still like just one shot, right, Marius, or something? Alright, I got like 10 more minutes. It's a bit later than I actually realised. I ended up making so many mistakes with trying to get that grey into all the armour joints. Jeez. Votann's 35%. No way, dude. I thought that the lowest that they had on their Meta Watch article was Blood Angels at 45%. I thought that was the lowest. We talking third-party percentages, or are we talking Games Workshop percentages? Because I actually don't know what I believe at this point. Uh, 8th of August GW percentages? Really? Tyler that low? I was gonna say, they did a Meta Watch since the 8th of August though, right? That was like the last one. So I thought in the last one they really presented much more balanced numbers, it seemed like. Like I thought nothing was below 45%. What color should I use in my Eisenhorn Henchman party? You should use Blood Angels colors, dude, because they're going in your Blood Angels list. And then it'll just keep everything nice and uniform. You could always go for like a darker red or a darker grey or something, but I think you should use Blood Angels colors. I was 53% now, Votan is 55%. So yeah, Votan are a good 10% higher than Blood Angels then. So I feel pretty good having beat Votan the last 2 times I played against them, because I felt like both times I felt their army was pretty strong. I actually want to do a video on like the Blood Angels win rate since they've been doing these Meta Watch articles, because I don't remember a single time that Blood Angels was above like 45%. Maybe like one time we had 46 or 47. I feel like I should make that video this week so that when Games Workshop start thinking about the Blood Angels Codex, they actually start thinking like, hold on, Blood Angels have been like 40% win rate for far too long. Let's make them 50 at least. Give us 50% win rate, god damn it. Blood Angels is 48%. I doubt Blood Angels is 48%. But Stats Check had them Stats Check had Blood Angels at like 38, and then Games Workshop came out and said that they're 48. So I was like, I don't know who I believe, because Stat Check are like doing Stat Check aren't fudging any numbers. They're legitimately looking at as much tournament data as they can and giving you numbers. Time to give up parenting? I'm afraid not, dude. I feel like, well, I'll make some videos on how I get on at this GT next weekend. I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful I'll get on well. Right, I think I managed to clean up most of the mess that I made trying to get those armor joints painted. So I think I'll take that as a win. Oh, I think I'll go to bed. I think I'm probably doing the Army List show tomorrow night, though. So if you want to catch me live tomorrow night, I will be here. We will be talking about community submitted Army Lists, as we always do on a Sunday night. Alright. The Blood Angels win rate is generated by Sons of Sanguinius use, is it? Okay. I'll check it out, thank you. Yeah, Blood Angels, crazy idea, but you should name every model in your collection from chat by membership or super chat. Huh. So that's a cool idea. We could name like the captain after somebody, we could name the biologist after somebody. To what end though, Marius? Like when that character dies, that person in chat has to take a drink. Oh, excuse me. Tired. Yeah, I got so much work to do on these guys. I do like the feeling of Gravis models though. They're nice and chunky, aren't they? We could get model nameplates and attach to the bases. We could. We could name every single model. Or name the squads after different people. That's a cool idea. Oh, I'm gonna have to take off, guys. I'm tired. I will see you guys tomorrow night, maybe. And if not, maybe you guys will catch you on a tactics video this week. If you didn't see our podcast this week yet, we did do a tier list on the new Space Marine detachments. So you could check out the podcast. It was a pretty fun episode actually. If you haven't watched it and you want to laugh, I'd advise watching it. It was a pretty good one. Alright, I'm gonna go wash these brushes. Head to bed, guys. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Thanks for the comments. Nice to see you all. We will do list breakdowns tomorrow, yes. 8:30, so 3 hours earlier than now, most probably. I'll see you guys then. Good night. Peace.